My name is Keletso Bogatsu and I'm the Acting General Manager at the Grand Palm by Piedmont Global Botswana. The theme this year is quite an important one: tourism for inclusive growth. Given the fact of what we have just been through in terms of the pandemic and with the COVID and all the lockdowns that have been happening have obviously impacted our industry. And I say it's important because it has taught us quite a lot of things where previously the industry didn't have as many women as it does now. And in terms of the technology that we have had to use during the pandemic and the closures, etc., it has taught us that technology should be the number one thing when we speak about tourism. And obviously when you speak about technology, you speak about the youth, the youngsters that are coming into the industry who've never really been given a chance. And for me, when I talk about youth, it's very important to also note the fact that the industry has always been about our male counterparts taking the lead in the industry. But I think the opportunity arises with the pandemic that we can now empower our young girls to eventually be taking the lead in the industry. The future is exciting. I mean, the past 2 years have been the most terrible that we've ever experienced in terms of our bottom line. If you look at the tourism industry, really depends on mostly passive income, especially for us as a resort with a casino. We are a cash-based industry. And if people do not have cash, and that means our bottom line gets completely depleted. We are fortunate that we've been able to keep our staff going, and we've managed to continue paying as much as we have been in terms of salaries, etc. So the future is really looking good. I mean, 2022, when we forecast, it looks like it's going to be a great year. We're looking forward to all the changes that we have taken and brought in from the pandemic and that we have learned from the pandemic. And I've mentioned the technology aspect of it, where we've always taken it for granted. Yes, there was, but not as much as we are now starting to appreciate it and make use of it as more often as we used to before the pandemic. So we as Grand Palm, or as Piedmont Global Botswana, we have decided that we're going to stick to the protocols that were laid out by government during the actual pandemic and during the closures. Obviously not as strict as they were. In terms of the alcohol, we will be still selling alcohol, etc. The opening times will go back to normal. But in terms of capacity in our restaurants, in our conference centers, we'll still keep it to a bare minimum. We'll still do the 2-meter spacing apart for the individuals. We'll still continue with the sanitizing. We'll still continue with the recording of temperature when our patrons walk into our property. So we want to make sure that our patrons still feel safe to still say we're going to the Grand Palm, because the reality is that the 1st of October, yes, will happen, and the government will open up everything, but that doesn't really mean that COVID is over, just like you've just mentioned that there's a 4th wave that's coming. It's the reality. I think we're just going to have to find ways of living with it and not saying now we're back to normal and we can have 500 people or 1,500 like we used to in the complex. We're not going to go there as yet until we feel that our staff can be safe and our clients and patrons that walk into the complex can also feel safe about it. Today marks a day that's significant to us in the tourism industry, a day that has been marked by the theme Tourism for Inclusive Growth. The past couple of months, we've seen how the world became under attack from the most deadliest disease. This pandemic has crippled societies beyond any known social class and through different communities worldwide. We've seen how importantly it's crippled our industry. As tourism personnel, we've always been the last to leave and the first to enter. And I'm here to remind you all that no matter what, we shall be back saving and doing what we do best. Don't stop pushing to get back what is ours. Good luck for today. Happy Tourism Day, and God bless our industry.